Hello and welcome back to Life.ev. This is episode number 37, a podcast that dives into exploring values. I'm your host, Ajit Panicker. I lead an air conditioning company, Nova, and Pure Blue, a tech startup in the air conditioning domain. Every Saturday at 11 a.m., we bring you conversations that go beyond business growth, focusing on the values that fuel it. Let's embark on a journey to uncover the true purpose and how we can grow by enriching our lives. Welcome to Life.ev, where we explore values in life and business. And as always, I have Vivek Asrani with me. Hello, Vivek.
Hi Ajit, how are you doing today?
Absolutely good. To the people who are joining us for the first time, Vivek Asrani is the driving force behind Chemo Fastener Company, a trailblazing company in the industrial fastener sector. What sets Vivek apart is his deep engagement with the exploration of values. Now, for close to 4 years, he has dedicatedly penned his reflections on this topic every week. These insightful thoughts are accessible on his website, vivekasrani.com. Additionally, Vivek has authored the book One Day at a Time, Reflections from Times of Silence, which further delves into his journey and insights. This thought provoking read is available on Amazon and his websites, offering readers a chance to engage with his profound understanding of values and their role in both personal and professional lives. In today's episode of Live.ev, we're delving into a topic which is taking a pause. Vivek, let's hear your reflection on this.
Ajit, taking a pause, I think, is one of the most important aspects of our life. And there are two ways, right? One is when life forces us to take a pause, and the second is when we consciously and deliberately plan these pauses in our life. If we are not mindful and careful and haven't planned for them, then life will force us to take a pause. So, for example, and we've all probably experienced it, where suddenly our health or our finances have reached a point where we are forced to pause and take a look at what's going on and course correct. And yet, there are other times when we have consciously, in the midst of our busy schedules and our rhythm and routine, taken a step back, reviewed what's going on, continued, taken a step back, reviewed and continued, and taken deliberate pauses that have allowed us to kind of self-correct, so that life doesn't present us with this forced pause. And of course, there are events like we all went through COVID where we were all forced to pause, and those are completely out of our control. So why is a pause necessary? And I think that's important to understand, because that's the only way I think that we will be convinced that we need to, deliberately take out time for a pause. So one is it gives us the time to reflect as to what are the things that we need to start doing, what are the things that we need to stop doing, and what are the things that we need to continue doing. It's only when we stop can we look at our lives, bucketize them into these three parts. When we stop doing certain things, it then creates the space and the energy to redirect that into either continuing what we are doing and further that more, or start a few more things which are going to be beneficial for us. So it gives us the time to reflect. The second is it gives us the time to review what's going right and what is not going right. A lot of our decisions play out in our favor. A lot of our decisions are not optimum, and sometimes they're huge learnings for us. And I think the best example I can think of is that of an artist. That an artist will have his brush strokes, and ever so often will step away from the painting to see how it's looking, and will go back again, will paint, and again look at it from a distance. So I think this habit of zooming out and reviewing our life, and then again zooming in, acting, and then again zooming out, is extremely beneficial. And the third reason to pause is the recreation, what we commonly called recreation. Recreation is not just fun, but it is the recreation of energies, and we can only recreate our energies when we actually deliberately pause from our busy schedules and take time out to re-energize ourselves physically, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. Now, the common thing we hear from people around us, and very often from ourselves as well, is, I'm just so busy, I just haven't had the time to take out, to review things, to reflect on things. I haven't had time for my recreation. But it's synonymous to saying that I'm so busy driving this great car at a great speed on this great highway that I don't have time to stop at the gas station. So no matter how good the car, no matter how good the driver, no matter how good the road, no matter how good the speed, the car is going to come to a grinding halt because it needs to stop, recheck, refuel, and restart. So to say that I'm too busy to take a pause is like saying I'm driving a car and just too busy to stop at a gas station. And I'll just read one paragraph, Ajit, from my reflection on this, which also gives another perspective to taking a pause, because a pause is really slowing down. A pause is not a full stop, and I think that's the differentiation. A lot of people shy away from or get scared to take a pause because they think that they're going to stop doing things, and if I'm not doing something, I'm losing out. On the contrary, it's extremely healthy and important to do it. And I'll just read out this one paragraph, which is my favorite in this reflection. When we slow down to notice something beautiful, give someone a helping hand, feel the fresh air we are breathing, spend moments with our music, enjoy the silence of our own company, give gratitude for all that is in place, review the day and make our minor adjustments, feel refreshed and energized to face the world with renewed enthusiasm, then we have truly learned the value of taking a pause.
That's really amazing, Vivek. Vivek, I just want you to go back to that analogy where you spoke about driving the car. Now, when you look at that car, you don't wait for the fuel to run out, right? You have a fuel indicator. So you keep looking at the indicator and you know when to stop that car and refuel. How does that happen in real life here? I mean, what are those indicators when it comes to tech? How do I recognize it's time to take a pause?
I think that's a great question. So, just like we have a dashboard in our car, each one of us needs to obviously have our own personal dashboard. Now, what is our personal dashboard? Let's say if we break it up physically, emotionally, intellectually, and let's say spiritually, right? The four dimensions of our life. The moment I'm feeling stressed, and I can feel that stress and pressure. So, obviously, one of the gauges in my life is now going from green to orange to red. So, that's the first indication to say that, look, emotionally, I'm not feeling that I'm coping with the situation. That's the time to take a pause, because clearly either what I'm doing or the way I'm doing it needs an adjustment. Sometimes we make decisions and very quickly we realize that it was a bad decision, or we could have decided better. Either we're deciding under fear, or we're deciding in haste, or we're not making optimum decisions, we're not using the value of all the knowledge and insights we have gained over the years. That's the time to take a pause and say, look, my decision making is going a little off. I need to recalibrate and see why is it that I'm not deciding properly. It's possible, Ajit, that something else in my life is not going well, and it's reflecting and telling on my decision making in another aspect of my life. It's only when I take a pause, I might be able to see the correlationship, that maybe I'm having a personal relationship issue and my professional decisions at work are just going all over the place. Or vice versa, that the decisions at work or things at work are stressed, and therefore I'm making bad decisions in my personal relationships. So that's the second indicator, right? Third is when we don't feel relaxed, joyful, and that surge of enthusiasm and love. Very often, Ajit, we meet people, we meet friends, and we see this burst of energy, we see this enthusiasm, we see this happiness, and we sometimes say to ourselves that, you know, yeah, this person has got a great life. We may not say it loud, but we might even think it in our minds. And it's like, what? I mean, this guy or this person is always enthusiastic, always happy. And I'm not feeling that same energy. So, that again is an internal dashboard. And why do I say that? Because fundamentally, and we have to believe this, that joy is our true nature. And love is as close to our divinity as possible. So, if I'm not feeling the surge of love and joy at any point of time, then again my indicator is going from green to orange to a bit of red, and I need to take a pause and say, what am I missing out? If I'm having constant clashes in my relationships, where either the way I'm saying things is not landing well, or what I'm saying, my tone, my language, or I'm getting irritable, I'm getting short, I'm snapping at people, again, the indicator is that from green I move to orange and red. So just like in the car, when the fuel gauge goes down to, the red and very low, we stop. These are the indicators that if I'm feeling tired, lack of energy, lack of enthusiasm, I'm not equanimous when things go right and wrong, and I'm getting uh, too short and irritated with people. My decision making is going all over the place, and I'm not feeling that surge of love and joy. I think this, on our personal dashboard, are first indicators. If we don't take note of this, what happens? And I think that's the follow up question. That, okay, what happens if I see this but I don't stop? Okay, in a car, I know that physically the car will run out of gas, but as a human being, I'm breathing every day, I'm living, so I just carry on. Somewhere it's going to take its toll. And in a lot of cases, unfortunately, it tells on our health. Uh, in a lot of cases, it tells very sharply on our relationships. Now, sometimes you don't see the direct correlationship, which is why we brush it off. And then, like I said in the first thing, opening sentence, that sometimes life forces us to pause. So, and I think you've given a great question over here, that like a car, if we look at our own dashboards regularly, and regularly is not, Ajit, once a quarter or when things go wrong. In my mind, to my mind, regularly is every day, is end of the day, taking stock of what happened today, reviewing, unpacking the day, and making those minor adjustments on a daily basis, and not allowing something negative to keep seeping in. That, to my mind, is the real value of taking a pause.
That's amazing, yeah. But here's also another question. I'm talking more from a entrepreneurial perspective. I mean, what does taking a pause influence on the quality of your decisions? Sometimes as entrepreneurs we say, that, dude, I can't be wasting this time. What is this pause? What is this holiday? Then, if I love my work, then there's no differentiation between work and taking a break and everything. But here's the question: does taking a pause actually help you in the quality of your decisions? Do you have any examples that you want to share about this?
Yeah. So I think you've used a fabulous word, which even I would very often use as an entrepreneur. And I'm wasting my time if I'm not productive and if I'm not doing. And let's be honest, it is very difficult as an entrepreneur to take a pause, because if we're not doing, we're losing time, and we're constantly in that mindset of, we're running against time. The one thing that is in short supply is time. Resources we're able to access easily, but time is, and we know that from experience and from our understanding of life, that time is the only irreversible in this world. But Ajit, I would like to answer your question with first a personal example and then with a professional example. Amal was 8 years old. I came home and he had his math paper, and he had 3 on 10, right, on that paper. And the moment I saw that, I got really upset. And I started talking to him in a manner where I was, as a father, being very sharp with him, right? For having, I was angry that he got only 3 on 10. And as I was speaking with him, Ajit, something at the back of my mind was telling me that what I'm doing is not right. So, and this was for me and one of those few moments in my life where I could see myself, right? There was a distance between what I was saying and doing, and I'm actually watching myself do that. And I paused. I still remember that day. I paused mid sentence and I said, what am I doing? I said, I'm not angry that this child has got 3 on 10. All of us have been through school, all of us have done well in certain tests, and we've not done so well on certain tests, right? And this one test is not a reflection of who he is. I said, I'm angry because in my mind, how can my son be bad in maths? So I'm angry because my ego somewhere has got affected. Second, I'm focusing on this 3 on 10. What I'm not focusing on is that this child wins all his music competitions in school. As an 8-year old, he has sailed all by himself in his boat from Navy Nagar to Gateway as part of a group, of course. We've had zero behavior problems with him, right? And this is one of those off days where he hasn't done well in this one test. So I just kind of paused. Next day, I apologized to my son, to my 8-year old. I said, Amal, I'm sorry, the way I spoke to you yesterday was not right. I shouldn't have said it the way I did. All I wanted to communicate was that, Baba, you're capable of much better than this. You just apply yourself a little more. And sure enough, next time around, he got his 8 or 9 on 10 or whatever, right? For me, that's when I realized, and ever since I believe, I think I've become a better father because I allowed myself a pause. And the principle, Ajit, remains the same even at the workplace. We went through a phase of, I think, 2 or 3 years where growth was flat. Suddenly, the profitability was disappearing, and lots of things were happening in the company. You walked into the office, everybody was busy, everybody was working. I said, something is not right. So, actively took a pause. I just, for 1 month, literally just observed things. After that 1 month, I got people into a room and I said, what can we do to impact the customers in a better way? And the rule was that you can't shoot down an idea no matter how crazy the idea. We came up with 300 ideas. We implemented about 180 of them over the next 6 to 8 months. And I said, let's go slow and let's just make these changes and implement what we believe. And after that, the business just started growing. So what felt like, and I did, to be honest, second guess myself very often. And I said, am I doing the right thing? I should be putting my foot on the accelerator and really pushing the pace, right? I'm slowing things down when I thought I should be pushing it. But my native intuitive thinking turned out to be right, that no, this is the time to take a pause.
Amazing. When you're talking about this, it just reminds me of one of those examples, you're so engrossed in business and you think, it's all running around you. And one of the things that I did was, I just took a break and I just went away on a trek where it was up in the mountains, 8 days where even you didn't have a mobile network, nothing. So you were just completely disconnected. And there are two big learnings that I had from that, taking that big pause. One, 24 hours is really long. Okay. It's a lot of time.
Yes.
It's really a lot of time which you don't realize. But when you
Yeah.
take that pause, you realize how long it is and so much you can do. The second thing is that, in business, you tend to give yourselves a little too much of importance. It runs all around you. But if your processes are in place and if you have
Yeah.
empowered your team, you're not that important. And which is good because it gives you that extra space to innovate and do something different. Aren't these the kind of long-term benefits that you've also experienced?
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny you're saying that because just yesterday we had a meeting on this, and uh, between sales growth, gross margin protection, cost, and our working capital, one of the four metric is not as good as we would like it to be. So just yesterday we said, listen, guys, let's just take a step back. Let's spend time around this one aspect of the business over the next 2 months, get it right and fix it. That doesn't mean we stop doing everything else, but we're just taking a bit of a pause from just constantly being in this growth mode, and realizing that we've grown the revenue, but at the cost of a lot of other things, and it's the system has
Yeah.
got a little out of balance. So you're absolutely right. And I mean, already from yesterday's discussion, and I got a couple of calls today, I can see that things are have begun moving.
Amazing. Well, guys, that's the time that we have for this episode today. We'd love to hear from you. Join the dialogue on our social media platforms. Share your questions, your learnings, and the insights you've gained from this episode. It's through these shared experiences and perspectives we get a conversation going, and your voice matters in shaping a better, ethically driven business world. That's it for today. Join us again next week on every Saturday at 11 a.m. for another enriching episode of Life.ev, where we continue our explorations into the fascinating world of exploring values in our lives. Vivek, thank you very much. As usual, every week, 37 weeks now, and every week
Wow.
we've been spending 20
Time
minutes,
flies, man. It's
20 minutes
unbelievable.
sharing.
37.
Well, see you next week on Saturday at 11 a.m. Thank you very much.
Look forward.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.